Active Management are proud to be the premier sponsor of the Fitness Business Podcast. For the FBP family, this week we have a free download for you to work on your business, not in your business. To get your hustle mode on in 2017, go to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/active.
Welcome along to show 101. This week we welcome back the Instagram expert Sue B. Zimmerman to chat about the benefits of Instagram influencers and how to use custom hashtags for your local community. Then Josh Levy from the Association of Fitness Studios joins us to share some key findings from the 2016 Marketing Best Practices Report. As you're about to hear, the interviews this week are short, sweet, and jam-packed with actions and advice that you can use straight away. Before we get into this week's show, I just wanted to quickly let you know that last week we had our first ever FBP meetup. We did it in Darling Harbour. It was on day one of the Filex Fitness Convention and it was sensational. We had the best time and thank you so much to everyone that came along. I was blown away. I didn't know what to expect on the day. It was 6 a.m. when we met and it was dark down there in Darling Harbour. And I was so thrilled that when I arrived at about 5:45, there were already people there waiting. It was completely amazing. I loved getting to meet listeners of the show. I loved the atmosphere and the fact that our listeners were able to connect with other people in the industry. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for making our first FBP meetup a success. My hope is that we can repeat this all across the globe. We want to make these a regular occurrence for the show. We want the opportunity that you guys are learning from each other as well as learning from the experts that we bring onto the Fitness Business Podcast. So please make sure that you stay tuned because as the next ones come up, I'll make sure that I let you know throughout the shows that we're producing. And if you want to check it out and just get a bit of a feel for what it's all about, then make sure that you have a look at the pictures that I'm going to include. And I might see if I can get a video in there as well, include in the show notes this week, and you'll get a bit of an idea of what the meetup was all about. But let's just say we did some brisk walking for about 50 minutes, and everyone had the opportunity to meet a whole lot of different people along the way. So it was sensational. So that's enough from me. Let's get into this week's show. Tribe, if you haven't explored a functional training space for your gym, then now is the time. With Queenex Functional Training by Precor, there is a unit to fit every space. Plus, education is included to ensure that training is delivered with confidence. You need to jump online and check this out right now. Go to precor.com/fitness business podcast. Sue B. Zimmerman is the Instagram expert, creator of the online Instagram course, Ready, Set, Gram. She's a popular creative live instructor, powerful speaker on prominent stages like Social Media Marketing World, and she's a highly sought after business coach. Don't forget, Sue first joined us in show 98. So it's just a few weeks ago. So if you missed that show, make sure you go back and listen to it because it's kind of part one of today's interview. And by the way, make sure that you also listen out for the challenge that she gives us at the end of today's chat. Plus, right at the end, she also tells us how we can get hold of her free Instagram guide. So I definitely recommend that you get your hands on that. We're going to be kicking off today where I have just asked Sue how a fitness business can and should use Instagram influencers.
Yeah, great question. So if you have someone that's coming to your gym who has a lot of followers and, has a good personality and could absolutely help you get some engagement on your Instagram account, maybe it's worth giving them a couple of months free membership or bartering with them if you don't want to pay them to get the influence of their account to your account. So my daughter Lila at Fresh Fit and Fearless, she's a vegan. So she's been a vegan since her senior year in high school, I think almost 2 years now. And she's been diligently posting inspirational photos with no intention other than because she's passionate about it. And then I brought her on stage with me when I taught on stage at Creative Live. She was the youngest person ever on stage, so she got like 1,000 new followers that day. And she now has 17.8 thousand followers, but Lila does an Instagram story all the time. And I think your audience would love looking at her account because Lila is an influencer. She gets paid by these awesome companies in Sydney, like Sprout Market. She's getting paid by Sprout Market to be an influencer. She's getting paid by Vanessa, who is in charge of the salon coaches, to help do webinars. And she gets free products all the time. People send her free products all the time. And she never says yes to anything that doesn't align with who she is and what she does. But she not only gets products, but she also now gets paid to post on Instagram. Now, if you look at her feed, she has this model-esque way of her. Obviously, she's in clothes all the time and she looks adorable and she's not showing like half naked photos, which as her mother, I'm pretty happy about. Occasionally she's in her bathing suit, but that's okay. So the point is, she's an influencer. She got the attention of so many brands like Crazy Richard's peanut butter, Oats My Goodness. They all give her free product because they've hired her for different things because she is an influencer. She is literally the target market of who they're trying to attract. And that's the point. You want to if you're going to be an influencer and you're going to try to get paid or get free product, you're going to want to make sure that it matches up to who you are. Again, going back to your core business values.
Next up, I asked Sue, should influencers always be located near our facility? And we chat about community-based hashtags.
If your goal is to get more clients at the facility, absolutely focus on local collaborations and not global. Because what's the point? I mean, if your end game is to get your membership up, that is absolutely, I would leverage everything around you. You can do hashtags that are community-based hashtags.
Yeah, absolutely. When you say that, you mean things that are like the suburbs that surround you or the areas that surround you?
Yeah, like what's trending in your area. So, for example, only in San Francisco, only in SF, they were on the brand panel once for me at Social Media Marketing World, and that's their hashtag, only in San Francisco. And so they get a shit ton of user-generated content because everyone that goes to San Francisco takes pictures and knows to use the hashtag only in San Francisco. So what does that do? That creates user-generated content that they can then share on their Instagram feed. So often what they do is just grab photos from other people. They don't even have to spend time looking for their own photos. They're giving shout outs to people in their community. So for those of you that just are challenged with getting good photos, create a custom hashtag for your community, tell them to use it, and you can have great success bringing people together in Instagram stories.
Yeah, that's a great tip. As a matter of fact, when I was in Santa Monica, the hashtag is SAMO, I think it was. And so I started hashtagging that on all of the gym visits that I did. And it was amazing how many local businesses started following my account.
Yeah, exactly.
Now take a listen to Sue's advice around how a fitness business can best use Instagram stories.
So Instagram stories, I love. I'm doing an active story every day. Yeah, you can mention any of the businesses that we talked about in and around your area because they'll get a notification. But teach something every single day. Like, what are the questions that people ask you all the time? Like, what's the best protein drink and why? And how many glasses of water should I have? And what does lemon do if I put it in my water? And what's the value of cinnamon? And like, all the questions that you get asked, and how many reps should I do? And what, should I do the tricep first or the biceps first? I don't know. But that becomes stories, and when you teach something of value, people will want to come back to your story over and over again. I get about 1,000 people viewing all my stories. I get a lot of people that consume it, and they, like you, they're like, oh my God, you're so funny. I love watching them.
I love watching them because you're so real and you just tell it how it is, and I find that fascinating.
Yeah, I do, because I don't give a shit what anyone thinks about me.
I love it. So that's what we need to think about. We need to be thinking about education. And as a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, we had a man by the name of John Bellamy on the show, and he was talking about utilizing LinkedIn to market your fitness business. And one of the tips that he gave in regards to content, and I assume this applies to Instagram as well, and that is, he said, go to your customers and ask them what are the questions questions that they most want answered. And,
right,
and
of
those
course.
questions is content for you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So simple, right?
That's what I teach all the time. Yes.
I love
That's
that.
exactly what I teach.
I love that.
Yes.
Okay, speaking about what you teach, if any of our listeners want to work with you, they want to develop an Instagram strategy, they want to, follow you, what do they need to do?
Yeah. So first I want to be kind of bossy because I live in Boston and I get to be bossy. So I want you guys to all come over to Instagram and say hello to me. Don't be shy. Come on over to @theinstagramexpert @SueBZimmerman and say hello. Let me know that you came over from Chantal's podcast. Do you have a unique hashtag, Chantal?
Yep. So it's FBP Family.
Okay. So use that hashtag and say hello to me and let me know your biggest takeaway from this interview. I know what to do more of based on your comments and what you guys like and learn. So I would love to hear from you. And I'm going to give you all a challenge. I want you to do the hashtag Subi Made Me Do It challenge. I want you to write this out, Chantal. SUEB Subi Made me do it. That's all one hashtag. So if you look at that hashtag hub on Instagram, there's like 1,000 people that took the challenge. So you guys all have to take the challenge. And the challenge is to share a photo of you. It can be a deskie. It can be a selfie. I just want you to share something on Instagram that it represents you, your business, or your brand that I can go and see. Okay, so I'm putting the hashtag hub right here for you, Chantal, and Skype, so you can look at some of these kooks and what they're doing.
I love it. I'm going to do that straight away.
Yeah, make it fun, you guys. I'll see it. Tag me. And then, of course, come on over to grab my free Instagram strategy guide. It's SueBZimmerman.com/guide. That will get you my free Instagram guide. It's 17 pages long. People say, OMG, I cannot believe that was free. And that's what you want to have happen. And then as Chantal said, I've got a kick-ass YouTube channel, hundreds of videos. You could spend days listening to me. And what I like to say is if you're going to watch my YouTube video, please leave me a comment on the video. Let me know what you learned. And if you liked it, share it, tweet it, share it to Facebook. And then on my website, SueBZimmerman.com, obviously, I have blogs for days that you guys can go and read. And again, I say to comment. So here's my final note to all of you. The more you engage in other people's content, really engage on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, the more you leave comments and show up in the comment thread, your avatar, your face, your name, people will start to see you and say, oh my gosh, that's Chantal. She's everywhere. She's always commenting on Sue's stuff. I need to click in and see her because my community is gold and my people know that my people are your people. And so the more you guys are actively, not passively engaging and lurking and not, don't just scroll through an Instagram photo. If you like it, double tap it, like it, and comment. I am telling you, the more that you do this for other people, the more they will do it for you. And that is what I like to end these interviews with.
How good was that? I have put all of those links that Sue mentioned in the show notes for today. So jump over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com to grab those links. And don't forget, if you missed her first interview, just head over to the website, type in her name in the search bar and check it out. She was on show 98. Our second interview this week is with Josh Levy, the founder and CEO of the Association of Fitness Studios. Josh Levy is the founder and CEO of the Association of Fitness Studios, and last year they conducted a study called the 2016 Fitness Studio Marketing Best Practices Research Report. Josh, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, before we actually chat about the report, can you first tell us a little bit about AFS?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Association of Fitness Studios, it's really the only association out there that is solely focused on the business elements for all the fitness studios and really the entrepreneurial fitness professionals that are working in a health club or a YMCA or something like that and are looking to kind of take that next step in their career. What AFS does is really compile all the benefits, all the research, all the data, all the best practices that is going to be necessary for all these individuals. And when I say a studio, that's anyone from about 500 square feet. That's a small Pilates studio that's got a couple reformers up to a small gym. Anyone that doesn't consider themselves a big box health club, they belong with AFS. So we're not consultants. We're not anything from that nature, but we are an association, a community that really provides the benefits out there that no one else has. And I know today we'll talk a lot about the research that we do, which is a key component of what AFS is all about.
Well, I think that does take into account a large percentage of our listeners, which is why I wanted to get you on today. And as you mentioned, let's have a chat about that report, because in relation to this report, I was wondering if you could perhaps share with us 3 key insights from that 2016 Marketing Best Practices report.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was tough to pull just 3, I'll tell you that.
I can imagine.
But it's a big report. The reports that we do on an annual basis, the Marketing Best Practices one was one that we did last year, and we're really excited about it. And Chantal, you'll know, you know this business just like we do. They're the top 2 things that this audience is always requesting. Number 1 is marketing. It's always marketing best practices. What's working? What are other people doing? Things of that nature. Number 2 is finding quality instructors and trainers. So we really took that to heart and listened to our members and wanted to do a research report all around marketing. And so some of the key takeaways that we were really able to find, the first one was we just kind of asked, what differentiates yourself from the traditional clubs? What is it that you're doing that really sets you apart? And the data that we found was interesting. 67% in an intimate physical environment. 65% of those respondents say they provide personalized coaching and instruction. 57% have a tribal-driven community. And that was interesting because in this market, you're talking constantly about personalization and customization. And you ask yourself, well, one of the key components to that is differentiation, and why is differentiation so important? And in a highly competitive marketplace, such as the fitness studio space, you can just walk down any urban market, any street in any major city, and there's a yoga studio, Pilates studio, a multidiscipline studio, cycling studio. They're everywhere. And so when you ask yourself in such a competitive marketplace, how do you have a value proposition that's unique? Or for those listening, why would someone join you over the competition? And that can really be the difference between thriving and struggling. And so when we did the research, our objective was to really find out what these studios are doing to stand out among the crowd and be able to communicate those points of differentiation and be able to understand really the difference between selling your benefits and your features. So one of these, KPIs or key takeaways that we found from this research was one of the things of making sure you're not selling your features and making sure you're really focusing on your benefits. And so you might ask, well, what are features? And features are those factual statements about a product or service that's being promoted. So for example, you might say, well, we offer great personal training with the best trainers. That's a feature. That's not going to really get someone to join. A benefit, and a great way to think of your benefits, their benefits are results. So a benefit to that statement would be, what do I get from personal training? Well, to sell it, you would say you're going to feel better about yourself, reduce stress, depression, anxiety, you're going to sleep better, have more energy, all that stuff. Another example is, I've seen studios say, participate in our dynamic group exercise classes. That's not a great way to sell, to market yourself and to get people to come in. You want to say what the benefits of that are. So what do I actually get from those group classes? What is the result? And the result is exposure to a social and fun environment, a safe and effective workout, consistent exercise schedules, no prior exercise knowledge necessary. So it's those kind of best practices that we really try to hone in on when we do a lot of our research. So that was one key takeaway. Another really interesting key takeaway, and this one kind of shocked us, was that when we asked, does your studio have a marketing plan? We were shocked to find out 57% did not.
57%?
So now 57% don't have a marketing plan. So when you break that down, 40 of the 43% that actually did, we found out that 88% of those facility owners, those owners are the ones that are in charge of executing that plan. So when you really look at the data, 57%, how do you plan to be successful if you don't know where your marketing is going, how much to be spending, what your strategies are? We asked, what is one of your biggest strategies. And we'll get into that one. That's my third big takeaway. But when you ask, Facebook is not a strategy. It's one element. That's one thing to do, but breaking it down to understand what you're doing on Facebook or how to generate referrals from word of mouth, things like that are really what we tried to hone in on in this report. So when you look at that data, 57% didn't have it. What we also found, and this is a really good nugget of information for those listeners out there, when you talk about how much should I be spending on marketing, once you put together that plan and hone in on exactly what you're going to be marketing, we found in the report that roughly fitness studios, and on average, those that were part of the report were about 4,000 square feet. I think it was about 4,300, just so listeners out there can kind of get an understanding of the size, square footage wise of some of the respondents. But we also found that they were spending about 6 to 7% of their gross revenue on marketing. So, of course, these were the 43% that did have a report or did have a marketing plan. So really to break that down quickly for the listeners, when you talk about 6 to 7% of your gross revenue, if you make easy numbers, say $100,000 for the year, 6% of that is $6,000. $6,000 divided by 12 months of the year, you're looking at $500 a month on marketing. So you might think, oh my gosh, well, that's a lot. But that's typically what the ones that are being really successful at marketing their business and getting traffic to come in are doing. So it can be a variety of different things. It can be leveraging your network. It can be on social media. It can be on direct mail, which I don't necessarily recommend just because variety of different reasons. But there's a variety of ways to really leverage the data and get a good understanding of how to execute a plan and kind of move forward with that. And then, the last key takeaway, and of course is the one that everybody wants to know, what actually works? What marketing strategies prove the most effective for this audience? And by far and away, the top two that we found were client and member referral programs and social media. Not surprisingly, when you're talking about this environment, high touch, results driven, very much a communal feel. I like to call it, it's an environment like Cheers without the beers, and where you can really kind of go in, everybody knows your name. You need to leverage, and they kind of go hand in hand, client, remember, referral programs and social media. And just to give some of the listeners some ideas of kind of what's contained in the report and some ideas that the respondents of the research gave, some of them provide $50 of what they call quote unquote studio bucks for clients who brought in someone to the studio after they've joined. So they give them $50 to buy for smoothies or apparel, whatever it may be, if your facility offers that. Another one extends a complimentary month privileges for each referral. Some offer a discount up to 50% off the first month's access for guests who brought in a client via a referral. Another one does a complimentary private training session to clients who offer someone. And this one was really interesting. This is a studio that very, very, very profitable facility in the San Diego area. They offer a VIP 30-day membership card that is only given out for a specific person who has a client who actually mentions a client. So what they do is they hand them a VIP membership to the client that says, hey, I heard, how close you are with your sister, Susie. And I was just thinking how great it would be if Susie could come in and work out with you. Here's a 30-day VIP pass for Susie. And they hand it to them, and it's something tangible, and they bring in their sister, friend, or whoever it may be. So without a doubt, there are so many different ways to leverage the people that are already utilizing your services. Really what I call them the talkers. These are the people that when they leave your facility are going to talk about the experience that they had within, that 60 minutes or 90 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever it may be. These are the people you want to leverage. And anyone out there listening, your talkers, because these are the people that seek you out. These are the ones that have seen results. These are the ones where you might know a little bit more than you might want to about their personal lives. But these are the people that really love what you do and will tell their friends. And so you really want to leverage that.
Josh, I love all three of those insights. And what you have made me realize is that if more than 50% of fitness businesses out there don't have a marketing plan, then that's a topic that we're going to need to explore on the show in the next few months, I think. And that is, what are the key elements involved in a marketing plan so that everyone should be on board and making sure that is a part of their overall annual strategy for their business. So thank you very much for sharing that insight with us. Now, I've got
pleasure.
One more question for you, Josh, and that is based on the report and based on the insights that you got from that report, what would you say is the most important action that every fitness business owner should do based on that information?
Without a doubt, in this market, it's a very different market. Those listening and studio owners and gym owners, their number one passion is to train and those relationships they built with their clients. And I tell everyone when I speak around the country and stuff as well in the States that when you put your name on a lease, when you actually, sign off on an LLC or however your business is going to be formed, like it or not, you are an entrepreneur. And that skill set is going to be incredibly different than the skill set that you've had almost your entire life of training. And so whether you're running a facility or studio now or thinking about it, I always tell people the biggest takeaway is to know your market and to know the numbers that go into operating a successful business. The marketing stuff, everything from an operation standpoint, building in systems, if you don't know how to do it, seek out someone who does, whether it's a mentor, whether it's just doing a target market analysis so to understand kind of your market, what others are charging. Of course, you're going to want to get the research that AFS provides. I mean, that's a key element of what we do is to provide this audience with an understanding of the numbers that are going to be so beneficial in their business. To understand, you should be putting 6% of your gross sales towards marketing, things like that are really kind of key takeaways that you can take. Marketing spend on a monthly basis, retention rates, how much revenue you should be generating based off your square footage. So you really want to know those numbers and want to leverage what others have done in the past to get those best practices to really kind of accelerate your business. And we like to call it minimize your risk and get to success faster.
So, Josh, if people do want to get a copy of the full report or to check out more information on the Association of Fitness Studios, where do they need to go?
Yeah, absolutely. They can go to our website. Everything is in our store and all over our site, really. It's afsfitness.com. That's A as in Apple, F as in Frank, S as in Sam, fitness.com. Everything can be found there and it should be pretty simple to find as well.
Excellent. And needless to say, we will also put a copy of that link in today's show notes. Josh, thank you very much. I found that very insightful, very interesting to hear about some of the findings from your report. So thank you so much for taking the time and joining us on the Fitness Business Podcast.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Are you interested in increasing your center's income and your trainer's income from small group training? Tribe Team Training is the new way to get more members engaged in small group training and paying extra. Click the Tribe Team Training link in the show notes or go to tribeteamtraining.com.au/podcast for your free formula to see how much income you can make from small group training.
Get ready for this week's bonus segment, your extra injection of information, education, and inspiration to strengthen your fitness business.
Hey Tribe, so it's been a little while since we had our last listener interview, but it's an absolute pleasure to be welcoming today's listener, and it's Maureen Eggers from the Washington Athletic Club. Welcome along, Maureen.
Thank you, Chantal.
Now, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about the Washington Athletic Club.
So I am the women's and co-ed fitness manager at the Washington Athletic Club. And the Washington Athletic Club is probably one of the oldest fitness facilities I know in our state of Washington, but probably the country. It's about 85 years old, and it's always been an athletic club for that length of time. I manage a staff, I manage locker room facilities, and as well as exercise equipment. So I've got a fairly broad spectrum of responsibility, and I absolutely love what I do.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you were telling me that you came from a group fitness background, which is a perfect segue into your current role. So what was it that first motivated you to listen to the Fitness Business Podcast?
Well, to tell you the truth, Chantal, Justin reached out to me on LinkedIn and I was unaware, but I knew right when he presented the podcast to me in just a message, it's exactly what I needed. I was really devoid of pertinent information that could help me grow as a manager in the business. And so I reached it that way. I grabbed onto it right away and downloaded. I told my colleagues about it right away. So I was super excited once I was introduced to it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for the support. And that's exactly what we're all about is hopefully supporting people in roles like you and the teams that you manage to provide that information for you to grow your business and to really enhance your business. So tell me, of the shows that you've listened to, what would be, say, your top 3 shows that you've enjoyed so far?
Well, I must say that my number one pick is the show that Luke Carlson did, number 91, Identifying Your Core Purpose, what makes your business unique. And I actually sought him out at URSA because I loved listening to him so much that I wanted to hear more from him.
Oh, good. Can I ask you, did you tell him that?
I did.
Yes.
I did. I went up afterwards.
That's
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I really wanted to shake his hands. He really is quite unique in his approach, and I really took away so much from just the little bit of information in essence that I got from the 2 sessions that I listened to him.
Oh, that is brilliant. Yeah, I must admit, Luke was one of my absolute favourite shows. And you're so right. His approach is very unique and the way that he runs his business is very unique. And for any of you that did miss out on that show, you can always go back to the website at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. And as Maureen mentioned, it is show 91. So I'm so glad that you enjoyed that, Maureen.
Yeah, I loved it. My next best favorite is number 83 by Michelle Bowden, her presentation and communication skills podcast. I am somebody that's gotten up in front of classes full of exercisers now for almost 10 years. And I really felt that I was a good public speaker. And then when I started to get to my management meetings in a different venue, I struggled. And so this was something that I scrolled and saw and knew I needed a little bit of information from. And even in 10 minutes time, I picked up a whole bunch of pointers that I could go into work the next day and use at a moment's notice, not only just speaking to a team of managers, but also one-on-one with my staff and also with the members that I have to interact with all the time.
Oh, that is fantastic to hear. The Michelle Bowden show is one that I feel is a really good share show. And what I mean by that is I think it's one of those ones that you can utilize for yourself as a manager, but it's great to share with your team because it's not only relevant for you in your interaction and your communication with your team, but it's also relevant for their interaction with your customers of the fitness facility, isn't it? It's very broad in its reach. So I'm so glad you enjoyed that. And what would be your number 3?
Number 77 with Chuck Runyon. I love greats, and I think that the CEO of Anytime Fitness has got to be a great because they've certainly made their mark on the globe in the fitness industry. And his humility was really outstanding as he spoke. His perspective, speaking on his mistakes, and then speaking about his little victories as he's gone along too, has really been inspiring for me to listen to. Oh,
yeah, totally agree. Another fantastic show. So Tribe, if you haven't listened to Chuck speak, it is show 77, and he had some great tips in there on, as you say, on leadership and his team and the culture within that business, which is just incredible and very inspirational, I think. So thank you so much for sharing those top shows with us, Maureen. And let me ask you this. If you had your choice, who would you like us to interview?
So I would love for you to interview a gentleman by the name of Jeff Nagel. Jeff is the owner of Nagel Sport. He had a booth at URSA, but he is one of the best fitness designers or fitness floor designers in the industry that I know of. So he has been one of the Gold's Gym International designers, probably heading that team for many years. He's done 350 different fitness facilities on 4 continents. In the Seattle area, he's responsible for the design of many of the top and clubs that we have in the city. And just a fantastic person, a bright mind, and has really done some great things for Washington Athletic Club already. And we've only known him for a short time.
That's a great suggestion. And you know what? We haven't had anyone from that part of the industry before. So I think that's a really good idea. And I'm going to hit up LinkedIn straight after that and see if I can connect with Jeff and get him on the show. So thanks for that suggestion, Maureen. Well, look, it's fantastic hearing from you, hearing from one of our listeners and knowing that you're enjoying the show and you're getting lots of tips and information. And thank you so much for utilizing it, but also sharing it with your team. That means so much to us. So thank you, Maureen, for
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
It's such a pleasure to chat to you, and I hope you continue to enjoy the show.
Thank you, Chantal.
Thanks, Maureen.
Pre-Core Quickfire 5.
Kate Golden is the Director of People and Fitness Operations for the Newtown Athletic Club. Kate's our special guest next week, so this week she's joining us for the Pre-Core Quickfire 5. Welcome along to the show, Kate.
Thank you so much for having me, Chantal.
I am thrilled to have you on. Now, are you ready for your Pre-Core Quickfire 5 questions?
I am ready.
Tell everyone, why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because I love it. Every day is a Friday at the NAC, so I'm so lucky to call what I walk into work, but it's really everybody else's happy place. And I love to be a part of a team whose goal is really to create a healthier and happier community.
And what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
I definitely think it has to be to learn something new every day. And when I stop learning, I need to move on.
What's a personal habit that helps you become better at what you do?
Every Sunday, I plan my week. So that really sets the tone for what I need to get done that week. And then every day, I jot down 3 things that I want to get done.
I love that one. And tell us, what's one book that you'd recommend and why?
50 Shades of Grey. Just
wow, that's a great
I never
one.
actually even read that book. I would really say The 1 Minute Manager. It's a quick read, and it reminds you of the basics that you need to do in order to manage people.
Great one. And why should our tribe come back next week and listen to the show?
I really think people can take some different management tips that I've learned through the years and through some smart people in the industry and be able to apply it right back on the job. And that's something that I always love to do when I'm listening to these podcasts.
Excellent. Well, Kate, I cannot wait to have you on the show next week. And thank you so much for joining us today for the Pre-Core Quickfire 5.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me for another week of the Fitness Business Podcast. And remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.
Great show this week that you should be suffering DOMs, delayed onset mind soreness, as you are overloaded and that's when your mind is strengthened. You and your business have been strengthened thanks to the amazing support of our premier sponsor, Active Management. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au only if you want to strengthen your business and your leadership. Don't forget all today's links and notes are found at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, where you can also subscribe and never miss a show and maybe win a prize. Next week is another incredible guest with Chantal, so get ready for more Fit Bizpiration.